Hey, I'm Paul Rabelais. I'm an estate planning attorney here in Louisiana. I'm the author of the book Estate Planning in Louisiana, and I want to talk about a family that we helped recently. The wife or the mother, she passed away unexpectedly, had never done any kind of estate planning before, no will, no trust, no nothing. And so now, several years later, the surviving father wants to remarry. And typically when that happens, that creates a whole set of problems for the family, because since the mom passed away without a will, when the husband remarries, the children own mom's half of the house. And when the surviving spouse remarries, there's often some conflict there between the new spouse and the children, and so it really can force a forced sale of the property, people getting kicked out of their homes, really difficult. So I was contacted by both that surviving husband and one of his children, and a little bit different story. Really supportive, really cooperative family, but still a lot of legal work to get done. So the surprising thing was that unfortunately surprisingly, was that the children were so supportive. They realized that they had inherited their mother's half of the home, and but their thought was, Dad, look, you put us through school, you bought us cars, you raised us. We want you to have the home and all these other assets that we've inherited from our mother. So they were wondering, what do they need to do to get all that done? So, we went through the steps that were necessary. We have to complete the succession or probate of that deceased mother or wife in order to get her name off of the title of the home. In fact, one of them asked me, well, what if the children just refuse or renounce their share in the succession? And I had to explain, well, if a child does that, then the child's share of the home and other assets would then go to the child's children, and that wouldn't do any good. So we're completing the succession. That's step one. And then the children on their own, happy for them, the happy that the family's so happy and were raised right. The children are going to sign a number of legal documents donating their interest that they have inherited from their mother in the home and the other succession assets back to their father. So the end result of that is that surviving husband, even though he's remarrying, he's the 100% owner of all of that married couple's assets, including the home. And then, just as a side note, there's a step 2 and a step 3. Step 2 is, because it's later in life for this husband who lost his first wife, and he's marrying a woman who has children of her own and has assets of her own, they're going to do a prenup. Not so much for purposes of divorce, but for purposes of, let's keep the family's assets separate. Let's not have any community property. Let's keep the family's assets separate, so that when one of us dies, it's real clear who owns what, it's real clear what goes to what family. So that was a step 2. And then there was a step 3, which is, the husband, redoing his entire kind of portfolio of estate planning legal documents, so that if he happens to die before his new wife, or when he dies, he wants his new wife to have the ability to continue living in the home for her lifetime. He wants most of the financial assets to go to his children, and he'd like to set that up in as easy a way as possible, really making it easy for the kids and having it all black and white and crystal clear. If all those steps were not put in place now or one day in the future, it would be a total legal mess for those families, and sometimes it's such a mess that those things can't get undone, and it just drives families apart. So just wanted to make you aware of that situation. That family actually got some of the answers ahead of time before contacting me from a previous video I had done. So when I talked to them and they told me that, that prompted me to to add some content and add some video to help families out there in Louisiana that may have similar situations. So if you have a situation like that, you'd like to talk to me about getting your legal affairs in order, you can call our toll-free number from anywhere in the state, 866-491-3884. Have a great day.